I started in SMMA, scaled that relatively quickly, and I did that for about 6 months, and then I transitioned into working with other companies.
You said 5 to 6 months in which you scale quickly. When you say quickly, like how much exactly did you get in terms of an MRR?
First month I hit 12K. Second month, I think it was right around like 24, and then third month I was, I think, right around like.
How did you fast track your success so quickly when you step into the ring?
Everything I've done, like in terms of like hobbies and things that I've put energy into in the past, I'd always go all in on them, right? So for that first month, I was, pulling like 10, 12-hour plus days consistently. You just kind of have to build a genuine connection with people. You got to start like selling the offer and then like trust that you're going to figure out how to fulfill properly. The reason 90% of people don't succeed is just because it's not worth it to them.
Big question. Do you need money to start SMMA, or is it zero down to start an SMMA?
I personally didn't do that, and a lot of the people that were successful didn't do that.
David, how old are you?
I just turned about 31 days ago.
What's up, people? How you guys doing? Welcome back to the podcast. I have got D-Man, the myth, the legend. If you guys do not know about David Wehner, I'm telling you right now, you're sleeping under that bloody rock. Because this guy right here is a legend. Okay, he's a legend. And to be honest as well, he's actually also mentored and coached me. And to be honest, I'm still under him. I'm not even gonna lie. Because I keep on learning from him every single time. David, brother, welcome, man. I appreciate you being here, man.
I appreciate you having me, Kofi. It's always a pleasure connecting.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, bro, we started talking and having really like lovely conversations. Not gonna catch the entire everybody on that because yeah, that's stuff that I think I want us to keep private. But I'm curious, bro. Where are you still running an SMMA right now? What are you doing? What are you up to right now?
Yeah, so for those of you guys, I guess, don't know kind of like my backstory, I started in SMMA, in Joel's program, um, probably around, I guess, May
Yeah.
of last year is really when I kind of started working on that. And then scaled that relatively quickly. And I did that for about 6 months, 5, 6 months roughly. And then I transitioned into kind of working with other companies. So I helped a biz op scale and I did the acquisitions for that. And then I worked with Joel actually directly for a period on one of his separate companies. I'm just not going to touch too much on that, but kind of helped with like the whole acquisition. Oop,
Oh,
camera issues.
we lost you for a quick second.
It was from when
There
I
you
switched it to show you the watch collection.
go.
uh, but helped Joel kind of scale that up, and the acquisitions for that. And then after that was kind of running smoothly, I transitioned off and now I'm kind of doing my own thing. So to kind of put it simply, I'm doing what's called like offer creation, offer launches for people. It's also called like publishing, but it's basically where you build out their business for them. Whether that's like a coach, consultant, whoever that might be, or if they're launching like a biz op offer, a health offer, whatever that is, and basically kind of building out their acquisition systems and then their fulfillment for them, and then placing that and letting it run. And then either I would get like either paid up front or a like rev share or equity split. So that's kind of what I've shifted my focus to at this point, and definitely kind of it's more along the lines of something that I enjoy doing at this point, just because like it's more mentally stimulating for me. It allows more kind of creative freedom. So
Hey, that's fire, bro. That's fire. Now, you see, you said 5 to 6 months in which you scale quickly. There are people that have been here for probably like eons, years and stuff like that, a long time, but they never see the success that you got. First of all, like I guess just to quantify it, when you say quickly, like how much exactly did you get in terms of MRR with your
yeah,
S?
so first month I hit 12K, so that was from like dead, first start, hadn't ever talked to a business owner before. 30 days from there, I think I hit a total of 12K.
Mm,
Um, and then second month, I think it was right around like 24, 26, somewhere around there. Um, and then third month, I was, I think, right around like 38, 39. And then at that point, after that third month, that's when I kind of started to transition to that biz op. And my SMMA ran for another 2 months just to like generate money at that point. But I wasn't scaling it. I wasn't super involved at that point. I was focused on that new business biz op offer, which that the acquisition went well, but that was a whole separate story. But my SMA ran for another like 2 months at that point, and then I kind of shut it down because it was kind of a little bit of a time drain for me.
mm,
It wasn't like fully automated.
mm.
Um, and that's when I kind of shifted my focus fully into other things.
Wow, man, bro. And I guess I know this. I know the reason why, because I did my own fishing and prying every time that you coached me and everything, bro. How did you do that? Like, how did you scale so fast? Because people, I guess people always like see you and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to be like David. I got to be like David. Like, David, I don't know how he did it. David was so lucky. David was so cool. I don't know what he did. We all just want to like, get on David's coattails. And I'm like, for you to like actually like just master that, because that's sales, which is like one of the hardest thing and the most important thing for any like business to have together with the marketing and all that type of stuff that's coming in. How did you fast track your success so quickly when you stepped into the ring?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, um, I guess the first thing I'd say, like, to kind of touch on that, like, everything I've done, like, in terms of like hobbies and things that I've put energy into in the past, I'd always go all in on them, right?
Mm,
So I'd put, a lot of effort into mastering it quickly. So for that first month, I was, pulling like 10, 12 hour plus days consistently, like through the weekend, basically no break. And everybody in my life can like attest to that. That I was like basically like a monk for that month especially. So that was the first thing. I was just like I was getting in like 3 months worth of hours within, 1 month. Um, and then the next thing is I worked really hard to like constantly be learning. So I
mm,
would go, anytime I wasn't doing revenue generating activities, which is I think probably what most people slack on because that's the hard stuff, I
mm,
would be learning. Um, and I would like learn strategically. So I wouldn't just like kind of like sit through videos, but I would strategically try and take away like actionable items that I
mm,
can actually use. Anybody that was around in the I guess it was agency accelerator at that point.
mm,
um I would be on every call asking questions, connecting with people.
mm,
And I was very social in the group, and then I would transition that sort of same those same social skills I had built up from just like spending time with friends and talking to people and just kind of living a normal life before that into my sales calls.
mm,
And you just kind of have to build a genuine connection with people. And that was how I was able to just kind of like off from the get-go, kind of off the bat, start closing deals and making money quickly.
mm,
Um, and it was sort of a situation as well where you kind of have to walk before you can crawl, I guess is the phrase where it's like you got to start like selling the offer and then like trust that you're going to figure out how to fulfill properly. So I put
mm,
my trust in the group and the people that were around me. I closed the deal with complete conviction that I would be able to deliver a good service for people one way or another, and then I was able to do that. And that was kind of the reason it happened so fast, I guess.
Wow, that is epic. Now, I want to dive into this. So when you say, like revenue generating techniques or tactics or skills, right? What exactly, or actions, what exactly do you mean? What do people not focus on? And when it comes to that you did that helped you fast track to this?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that like everybody likes the idea of making money online because I think a lot of people have like a glamorized a version of it in
Mm,
their head. And it is, it is pretty cool.
mm,
when you're able to successfully like make money online and realize that's a possibility. But I think a lot of people kind of just sort of assume um that you just like kind of type out some documents, send some emails, and it just sort of happens.
mm,
But the fact of the matter is like there was a lot of cold calling when I started. It's just kind of like a painful activity when you're new to it. A lot of like just spending hours trying to figure out systems
mm,
and tech stuff.
mm,
And then you kind of gotta you get dragged through the mud a little bit when you're taking sales calls for the first time.
mm,
You're new to the industry. It's clear to the people you're talking to, and those first few calls don't go well, and sometimes that sort of period lasts for 50, 100, calls before you start to really kind of crack the code.
mm,
um but it was just being willing to take the hits and and kind of keep your eye on the prize, which is I had a goal of hitting 10K a month to start, and I was like, there's just like no way I'm not gonna do this. um
mm,
and you just kind of have to be willing to do the hard stuff. It sounds so cliche saying it here. It's funny, but it's like the fact of the matter is that like the reason 90% of people don't succeed is just because it's not worth it to them.
mm,
Like if
mm,
you're relatively comfortable with your life, which I had to find life before that. Like it was not
mm,
bad by any means. It's like not like I was in debt or anything. I was just like a college student,
mm,
had a good family, everything. I was like supported, but for me, it was just like a competitive thing. I was motivated the same way I'm motivated in sports, but
mm.
I guess back to the point, a lot of people, they don't want it bad enough, so they're not willing to go through the amount of pain and effort that it takes and the sacrifice that it takes to actually get success. So
Man, that is actually huge, and that is something that I really resonate with too, because it's like the more painful it is, the more people run away. That's something that I've realized, especially within this space. And we have seen our share of so many people run away, especially when it got way too hard. Like what I guess it's now I'm more like, why did you do that? Because it's like, like not pain is not necessarily pleasurable. And for somebody to go through that type of pain, because cold calling is painful, big time. So
yeah,
for you to go through that and everything, I'm wondering, like, why did you do that? Like, what was pushing you to do all of that?
yeah, that's a good question. I mean, for me personally, I think it was kind of it was sort of a situation where it's like I get really passionate about the things I focus in on.
Mm,
Um, and so I was like really motivated to make this work.
mm,
And I was in a situation where I was like, I'm just not gonna let this fail.
mm,
Um, and so I was okay with kind of doing stuff that like isn't, fun in the traditional sense
mm,
because it still was rewarding, right? It was
mm,
activities where I would, I'd be tired at the end of the day, definitely like can wear on your nerves a bit, but it's like I felt like I actually accomplished something. I learned stuff. I improved my skills. I was talking to people. And that was kind of one reason. I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder, like just with people that like kind of just didn't, I think, have any sort of faith in my ability. I don't think that was generally something I struggled with, but there were
mm,
just some people that would, especially this is funny, but it's like just back in high school, people that I really didn't vibe well with, and um, that just like, I was always, not good enough. Um, and not letting that, be something that was constantly like controlling me, but it
mm,
was motivation. It's like, well, how about I prove these people wrong? And how about I outdo them in like every way, right?
mm,
Like, and as kind of as funny as that all sounds, that was a big motivation for me. I'm a competitive person, and I like to win. So, that was another big motivator. So I think for
yeah.
a lot of people, it's like sort of the dream of like being able to, buy their mom a car, which of course that stuff's awesome, right? Um, but those were kind of the two things that motivated me when I started.
Man, how does it feel that you're able to achieve that? Because you definitely did achieve that.
And it's definitely a cool feeling. The funny thing is that it's like, and my motivation shifted since then, right? Like
Mm,
at the beginning it was, I think, a little more simple. Now it's like I have bigger goals, bigger dreams, kind of want to make like
mm.
a little bit more of an impact. And then also just realizing how deep the rabbit hole goes in terms of like how advanced stuff can get in terms of marketing, sales, and how like a real business is run. Um, that that's kind of become more of my motivation now. It's kind of like a creative outlet. And then obviously, the money isn't bad either, right?
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that, bro. Yo, so also going into the part where you said you were learning, because now you're taking the actionable steps that you needed to take, which were like painful and all of that, but it was revenue generating. And now through that as well, you said you're also learning. Now, and this is the thing that I also came to find out about you. And it's funny we're having this like podcast today because I literally talked about you today to my sales team. Like, guys, the thing about David is right. Whereas, like, let's say for me, if I wanted to like kick back and relax, I'll probably maybe like watch Netflix or something and chill, or like, play a little bit of video games and chill or something like that whilst I'm eating and stuff. Or some people watch anime or whatsoever. David just watches sales videos for fun. That is literally like that's his habit. So I was like, yo, so I was telling my sales team today, I was like, look, I'm gonna need you guys to be like David and just watch sales videos for fun. So it's like, which comes down into the whole aspect of your learning. How exactly were you going about learning, especially when you do it just for fun?
Yeah. So I think this ties back to this is something that's kind of like I don't know if I'd say like unique to me, but it's definitely a trait I have, which is like when I get a hobby and the way I've been my entire life, like when I get a hobby and I want to do something, then I'll go, kind of all in on it,
Mm,
and make sure I succeed. And it's like, something that just brings me a lot of joy learning about.
mm,
I think like the term my dad always used was like an autodidact. I would like teach myself. That's how I learned best.
mm,
Um, and that stuff just like sort of collecting knowledge and being able to see things through a new lens and feel like I'm constantly improving
mm,
is hugely important to me.
mm,
Um, and I don't find it exhausting as long as it's something that like I'm motivated for, right? So if it's like, let's say it's like accounting, something that I'm just like not motivated to learn, it's like kind of boring to me. I'm not gonna like watch those videos in my free time. I don't enjoy it necessarily. But
mm,
then like at a certain point in like December, I realized like private equity was something I'd want to go into in the future, and like accounting would be important to that. And
mm.
so then I started learning accounting, right? Like and
Yeah.
and it was like the motivation was from the goal, which made it easy for me to enjoy learning something that's like not traditionally fun or
Mm,
exciting, right? So
yeah.
that was always the kind of mindset I had, and
Mm,
and I would in just the way my brain works is like I'll find that stuff interesting and exciting because I know I'm working towards like that goal.
mm,
So I think that's kind of just something that's sort of a lucky, a weird thing about my brain. But also just kind of like seeing progress, as long as progress is one of your main motivators, that can be huge. And just like for me personally, like I have like one or two things I like to splurge on. I like jewelry, which is like and then I also like I basically spend my money on like masterminds and courses. Like
mm,
even like my room, like I could, obviously like move to a really nice location and,
mm.
and like have like the classic like Miami penthouse, which I
Yeah.
might do in the summer, kind of explore the whole travel, kind of
Mm,
more exotic lifestyle. But like, I'm in a really, really cheap rent like location. It costs me like almost nothing,
mm,
like less than 1,000 a month. I'm just like in a college town, and like
mm,
I don't mind that because I get my joy out of like making progress in terms of my skill sets,
mm.
leveling up in all of those areas, and like living a fancy exotic lifestyle isn't necessarily like the main motivator for me. So, because
Yeah.
I've been asked that before, like why do I like live like by my partner a lot, like why do I stay in Harrisonburg, but um, which is a college town, but it's like I enjoy just like being around my normal friends and like it's the skill sets that get me excited. So
Yeah, and actually, and that's actually something, especially since you've mentioned it here. Bro, why are you going to school, man? Because like I don't get why. Well, people don't get why. I get it because I've done my part. But why are you going to school when you're already making all this money? Doesn't that take time away from you?
Yeah, so just for context, by the way, like with this semester, I toned down. I'm doing like online classes. It's sort of like
Mm,
I take care of most of it on like the weekends.
mm,
And I've always been like pretty good at school, so it's never been like difficult for me.
mm,
Um, and I dropped like a few classes just like credits just to save myself more time. But the for me, like it was sort of like a motivation of like the way you do one thing is how you do everything, and I don't like to quit on stuff.
mm,
So I set a goal to like at least complete my first 2 years of college. And if at that point I decided, like I wanted to go a different direction, then I would do that.
mm,
Um, but I didn't want to put myself in a position where it's like I made a promise to myself and I sort of backed out on it.
mm,
Because when you start doing that, it's a dangerous game. If you say I'm going to go to the gym and then you don't go to the gym, you say I'm going to complete this project and you don't complete that project in time, it's
mm,
like you start to get in a situation where you can't trust yourself to actually follow through on stuff, and that's
mm,
a huge mental block. And that can prevent you from achieving a lot of things. So just for that sake, I wanted to complete what I kind of promised to myself I would do.
mm,
And after this semester, if I decide, okay, I want to move on to other things, I've completed my part, what I said I would do,
mm.
and I won't have any sort of anything holding me back at that point. But that was the motivation there. I know a lot of people in the space are very anti-college, anti-school,
Yeah.
but I think it's completely possible to do both at the same time as long as you manage your time well and you're willing to make sacrifices. I know like Ben Smith. Um, is doing the same thing. He's running, just under 100K a month agency while going to school full time. So
Yeah, that's what's up. So would you say like you go on to school like the studies or whatever, I don't even know what you're studying, but would you say that has helped impact your life in any way and your business in any way and how you make decisions?
yeah, I mean, I actually think college is a really important time socially for a lot of people.
Mm,
Soft skills are probably like one of the most important skills you can have in terms of just like success. So like how you're able to communicate with people. Are
mm,
do you have like a level of charisma? Do people like you, right?
mm,
And for a lot of people, college is sort of the period of time where they develop that. You're around a lot of people your age,
mm,
and you're just kind of, and to really get into the nitty gritty of it, you're learning communication and kind of transitioning into a more adult period, and
mm,
you kind of have like a sandbox to do that in.
mm,
Um, so I think that there's value in just that, to be honest. Now, for me, I mean from like classes specifically, not a huge amount of value.
mm,
Um, they're especially like for those first 2 years, they're just kind of more general
mm,
education classes. I've learned stuff and it may be helpful, but I'd say like this is just also how I learn. Like 90% of the stuff that I actually like absorb and use is like self-taught. Um, so I guess that's that's my
mm.
answer to that. I think the social aspect and the sort of soft skill development is more valuable than necessarily like the gen eds and the classes, at least for the first 2 years. Can't
Oh,
speak on the other two.
interesting. So then again, then why are you in college, bro? Because you teach yourself really well. Like you self-teach really, really well. And the way you really like dive into a lot of information, I actually like, I fuck with it heavy. Like it's really great. So I'm wondering, guys, so then isn't it just like, I guess a waste of time if you're teaching yourself that 90% of it and everything?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like my classes take very little of my time.
Mm,
Um, so, I kind of basically did one semester where I was balancing both.
mm,
And that was, super busy.
mm.
Now like I've kind of toned down a lot on that, and it really doesn't take much of my time at all.
Okay.
And as far as like staying in the college town, like it's a little bit grounding, honestly. Like you're around like you're not in a place where you can spend a lot of money and you can kind of like um burn out, so to speak, go crazy.
Mm,
Um so there's not, much else for me to do other than, go to the gym, spend some time with my friends and then focus on my work. Um and I think that's kind of a valuable thing for me right now. It's just like staying focused on
Mm,
continuing to level up and pushing forward. I think maybe towards the summer, if
mm,
I hit the goals I've set for myself, then I'll allow myself to kind of go spend more money, kind of travel, go on cool trips, like the sort of more traditional, like go mess around on jet skis and yachts and stuff.
yeah.
Um, like obviously I'm not gonna buy a yacht, but like you know what I mean. Just kind of
Yeah.
mess around and have a good time. But right now I'm like in a period where I'm like focused. So there's no reason to have like to add distractions around myself. And I'm not like I don't go and party and stuff personally. It's not that interesting to me. So
Yo, I love that. I love that, bro. I really do. Okay. So then now, based off of also what you're saying, the third one, in which in this case, I guess I'll just coin it as networking. Because like when you're in a mastermind, like agency lab or an agency accelerator, networking can definitely be key. But then also there's so many people that just don't know how to network. They just don't, it's like they instead of them, I guess, creating connections and stuff and actually fostering like valuable relationships, they end up like I guess like being a bother and not necessarily like really like getting the inputs they could like get from other people, and they just end up like alienating themselves. How
yeah.
did you go about like building those really valuable relationships with coaches and peers alike, and then just keep on leveling up?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I started, I'm like a relatively social person, so it wasn't even that intentional when I began. It was just like I wanted to be around people that had similar interests to me.
Mm,
And it's like since I was super focused on learning this and just like, going 110% into business, um, I wanted a community that would do the same.
mm,
So I really just made an effort in the same way I had, always, made friends, made connections in my normal life, did the same thing in the group. Um, I talked to people, I would get on Zoom calls with them.
mm,
I would share stuff I learned, I had tried, and I
mm,
would ask genuine questions and show like genuine gratitude when I would learn stuff from people, which you're good at. Like you do the same thing where it's like people like to share information and help you out if they feel like you're genuinely grateful for it and they feel like
mm,
appreciated, right? So
mm,
with the coaches, I would always ask questions. I would ask intelligent questions that, would actually, for someone that's a coach, and I can say that now, being a coach in agency lab, I do like the sales training and stuff now.
yeah.
Um, like getting like those sort of more well thought out, higher level questions are really like a breath of fresh air and kind of you identify with the person.
Mm,
Um, so that was a big one. Sharing what I learned in the group. I made a lot of posts where I would help people that were, earlier than I was in the process because I spent a lot of time learning. So then I would share what I learned and the stuff
mm,
that I actually would use and people would get value out of that. So then
mm,
they would ask me questions and I was just able to kind of start building a network from there.
mm,
The truth is you just have to it's not much different than making friends in real life. You ask good questions, you show genuine interest, you provide value,
mm.
um, and then from there, you just, people like you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you said that. And for any of you out there that are in like, masterminds, like, agency lab and agency accelerator, I would tell you right now, please stop asking your coaches dumb questions. Like you have to, if there are some things that are Googleable, just Google it. Like, do not come and ask some dumb questions because it's like when you do that, he's just this is just my 2 cents, and I see it. When you do that, the coaches just look at you like, not this question again. But when you have like some really critically thought out questions, and you always apply what they say and come back and always like ask follow-up stuff on it, they genuinely love you more and they will go out of their way to help you succeed. Am I lying, David, or do you say that is like an actual like a thing?
That's right on, man. I mean, you, you, uh, you basically want, I'll put it this way, like when there's like a course or like a 7 day fast start, 10 day fast start, whatever, go
Mm,
through that first, get the knowledge from like the course that's like intentionally put there so that you can get those questions answered for you.
Mm,
And then for the questions that are then unclear at that point, and then you can ask clarifying questions. And
mm,
as Kofi said, if you can just Google it, like, or use ChatGPT, like that's a really good learning tool as well. Most of like the beginner questions like are really easy to find answers to on YouTube, on Google, with ChatGPT, asking just like another person that's like closer to your level.
mm,
And then where you're also going to get more value is when you kind of ask these higher level questions and you start to when you go to a coach with someone that's like pretty far ahead of you,
mm,
and you ask them like a good question, then they're going to give you a good answer, and that answer will often open your mind to sort of possibilities or concepts that you just like weren't even really aware of before.
Boom. There we go. There we go. I love that, bro. Now, I gotta ask, big question, because a lot of people, I guess a lot of people ponder about this a lot, and it's often misconstrued. Do you need money to start SMMA, or is it zero down to start an SMMA? I guess, can you talk through your story and how you did it?
Yeah, yeah. That's like an interesting question. Let's see. And that's a funny question because like a lot of the reason people like say SMMA, like you can start with no money, it's super easy. Um, it's like I personally didn't do that, and a lot of the people that were successful didn't do that. From what I've seen, you just like you can either put in time or you can put in money into like kickstart everything. I would say your time is better spent working a normal job to get like $1,000 to $3,000
Mm,
kind of saved up that you're just like ready to invest and burn in your business.
mm,
And then like put your time into that. What I did is I DoorDashed and I was going through course content while I DoorDashed. So I was learning like time that I would have to spend going through those videos, like learning those skills anyways, while making money. And I think DoorDash is a good one because like if you work hard, you can make like 25 plus an hour,
mm,
um, which is like really good for kind of like a normal job and it's flexible.
mm,
Um, and I did that, and then I had money I could invest, and that allowed me to kind of scale up a lot faster. Um, Whereas I think you can technically go in with just like 200-300 bucks, buy the softwares, and then like start sending emails, cold calling. But the speed at which you can scale is just is slowed down a lot. Um, and it just doesn't make that much sense in my mind. I'm not like door dashing and learning is like not super difficult, and
mm,
you can do it for like 2 weeks, and then you save yourself like 2 months because you're able to just start running ads. You're
mm,
able to pay a mentor, like one-on-one, all of that. And just so you know, Kofi, I gotta bounce in about 15 minutes just so to keep track of time.
Perfect.
Um,
Okay.
yeah.
No worries at all. No, but okay. So that is actually, it's really interesting. So you come from a really well put together home, though. It's like, did you need to DoorDash? Why did you go through that route instead of like maybe just asking mom or dad for help?
Yeah, no, definitely. So my parents, yeah, like my parents are like definitely well off. We live in like a nice location. The reason I did it is because like I didn't want to kind of kickstart my business journey with like like asking for favors without having like earned it.
Mm,
Uh, so well, yeah, I'm sure I could have probably gotten like some help from them. And also my parents just aren't like generally those types of people, right? They're not the type to just be like, yeah, I have like 4 grand, like go play around with it. Like they're the
mm,
type where, even though that they're not, like tight on money by any means, like they're gonna have their kids like earn their keep, right?
mm,
And so um, that was kind of like the mindset I had going into it, though. I didn't even consider asking. I was just like, I'm doing this so I can make money myself and learn the
mm,
skill myself and have financial freedom myself. So I'm
mm,
gonna take my car, I'm gonna take my time, I'm gonna invest my summer into this project,
mm,
and I'm going to kind of build it from the ground up. And it's also just like it builds a level of confidence when you and this is part of the reason I even wanted to start in business in the first place. It's like if I know I can do it myself,
mm,
um, then like there's never a situation where I'm like reliant on an outside variable, right? Like
mm.
the sort of like comfort that comes with like knowing that like you could kind of throw me in the middle of nowhere, give me like an iPhone, and I can, almost guaranteed to have like between like 2 to 4 grand by the end of the day just through cold calling and like selling someone,
Mm.
um, just like with just a phone is like a whole nother level of sort of financial freedom. And sort of independence. And that was like the whole reason I started. So to keep it short, I didn't want to kickstart my journey towards like freedom and independence by relying on other people, I guess.
Yo, it's that says so much about your character, bro, and it's very interesting because David, how old are you?
I just turned 20 about 30 days ago, 31 days ago.
Raw, yo, happy belated. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. And when how old were you when you started the SMMA?
I was 19.
19. So for a 19-year-old, when you started, bro, and to have that kind of mindset and that kind of grit and everything, bro, like you pretty much went through this like you were poor and you had nothing to lose. Like I'm like, it's very impressive and it's very impressive and surprising as well. So it's like, what would you say about the other like people out there that like they're stricken? I don't know if it's like they're stricken scared or they're just not able to move and stuff like that. Like, what would you say to people like that have been wanting to do this so bad, but they just can't see themselves doing it out of fear or whatever?
Yeah, so that like whole concept of limiting beliefs is I think a really important one. So um when a lot of people join programs, I think that they want just like the sort of the technical step by step. So they want the process on how to do it.
Mm,
How do I kind of copy and paste your success?
mm,
Um, but I think one of the most important things is mindset.
mm,
And oftentimes people will like skip the mindset section of courses. They're like, oh, this stuff isn't useful. This
mm,
person just taught mostly mindset, didn't teach me like the technical skills. And you'll see a lot of people complaining about that. But what you also notice is the people that complain about that stuff are generally the people that aren't making money. And the truth is that like you kind of have to be able to remove limiting beliefs, and mindset is probably the single biggest thing that allows you to succeed. I
mm,
whether you're religious or not, like as woo-woo as some of this stuff sounds, um, when you believe you can do something and you just approach it with like without kind of thinking about failure, you're
mm,
just thinking about how do I like solve problems, how do I succeed? That
mm,
changes how everything works. So like a good example of this, and I think I told this to you early on when I was kind of when I was like helping with your coaching up your SMMA and stuff.
mhm.
Um, and going into sales calls, if you go into it with a mindset of like I'm trying to sell this person, like a combative mindset, it's me versus them, I have to win this.
Yeah.
You almost always fail versus when you go in with like I'm here to help this person, I'm here to offer a solution if it makes sense, and
Mm,
it's sort of like a more service oriented mindset.
mm,
Just shifting the mindset, but somehow what you say, how you say it, whatever it is,
mm,
whether it's just like the magic in the air from like changing, your thought process. I don't know, but whatever it is, it makes you be able to sell much better because it's just
mhm.
like the whole frame that you're approaching this from is completely different, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Same thing applies to just like general success. If you go into it with like a sort of winner's mindset, as cliche as that sounds, you're going to be much more likely to succeed. So
Bro, like I love that. And I know we're short on time, so I just got two more questions for you.
yeah,
So you mentioned something when you started like coaching me, right? And guys, again, he's 20 years old. He's coaching me. I'm going to be 33, right? And the one thing about me, I am humble enough to go and learn where there's knowledge,
that
right?
was impressive. I have to give you that. That's one of the biggest things you can have like as a beginner that'll allow you to succeed is being
Hey,
being humble enough to learn from people that have like done it. A lot of people just want
exactly.
to do it their way. I was talking with my partner about this.
Mm,
Some guy was DMing him, is
mm,
asking questions,
mm,
and then he would answer those questions, and the person would be like, "Well, no, I'm not going to try that because XYZ reason, blah blah blah." And it's like you won't take the advice, but what you're doing isn't working. It's like maybe you should try what someone's recommending because it works, right? But
exactly. Some people are too egotistical, to be honest. And I'm like, bro, like the whole point, I find that stupid because like the whole point is I'm coming to you who has done it. I don't care about age whatsoever, bro, because bro, you were winning. And I'm not gonna lie, like shout out to you, Mega, because of you, I started when I found out that like you did that for fun. I started doing that. So I started watching sales, marketing, like videos and all that type of stuff. And I have like 3x to 5x all the knowledge and skill sets that I had from before that. So, bro, I'm not gonna lie, you're epic on that part. But so I guess my question there is you mentioned to me that I want Kofi, I wanted to coach you because of just like the way you are, because of how you speak and how you are in the room. And I'm wondering why, because that I found that really fascinating. And to be honest as well, I was uh I was like, I was shocked and I was also like really like, happy about it. But I'm wondering what drew you to me in order to coach me.
Yeah, so that's another good question. So one of the things I noticed first off, and this is exactly what I just said, you ask good questions. You're someone that kind of goes into problem solving in new situations ready to learn. Um, a lot of people are like sort of combative, and they're like, no, there's a right way to do this and there's a wrong way to do this. You went in with an open mind, and I saw that just through posting in the group whenever we communicated, you asked good questions and you were willing to learn. So that was the first thing. The second thing, just as far as like potential, like you were someone I knew would be able to succeed, as long as you had the right information. So I'd say for most people, it's not that they don't have the ability, it's that they just don't have the right skill set or the right information to get to the end goal. And that was exactly what I saw with you. And then the last thing is you're someone that was really easy to communicate with, because this goes back to the first point I made, but like you're open to learn. You didn't have an ego that was like, kind of holding you back. um and it just like your motivation seemed like sort of pure towards why you wanted to succeed. There wasn't any sort of like egotistical, like malicious motivation that I sensed there. And so you were somebody that like I genuinely wanted to see succeed. And I knew that I would be able to help you more if I had a motivation to see you win. So those were kind of the main reasons. I wanted to work with you initially. And I think the same thing applies to most coaches or potential mentors. They want to work with someone that they feel like they're gonna make a genuine difference for. Now, there are gonna be some people that just like if you have a credit card, then they wanna they wanna like coach you. But I think in most cases, if you're getting like a genuinely good mentor and it's a natural connection,
Mhm.
that's going to be what makes them want to help you and want to sort of guide you to success. And I think that's why you took advantage of what, I taught. And
Mhm.
I mean, without even trying, you did more than 10K last month. Weren't
Yeah.
running ads. Like you were just focused on like scaling up back end stuff. And it's like you just kind of casually, you know, hit a six-figure income rate. It's like that stuff happens once you become a person worthy of earning that amount of money, and that's what you've become. So
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, bro. I really do. I'm not gonna lie, and you've been a huge like difference in my life, and I mean, you already know, bro. We're already like planning to work together again for sure.
yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah. Well, I have actually a question for you.
yeah.
I guess we worked together for right around it was either a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I'm curious, what if you were to say like one or two biggest takeaways that helped you just after kind of working with me, what would those be?
Oh, bro, you gave me so many takeaways. I'm not even gonna lie. You gave me so many takeaways. I guess that the immediate one that comes to my mind, your objection handling. Your objection handling was impeccable. It was very impeccable because it was like, especially using the Silver framework. That once I learned that from you, I was able to like really make like pinpoint exactly the reasons, or in fact, the impact behind objections. Because there's like surface level reasons, and there's surface level like reasons, and there's like pretty much like reasons that come under that, and then there's impact. And bro, because of that, I was able to like find out if it's a smoke screen, if it's fear, if it's trust, urgency, what was going on. That helped my sales calls a lot. And the second thing, bro, I would honestly put your habits because it's like in my time coming to really get coached by you, I came to really learn and understand exactly how you thought and how you like acted. So when, as you said, people are partying, doing this, living the life. I mean, look at you, bro. You're living a minimalistic life. You're just focused on the grind every single time. You watch sales calls for fun in your free time. So because of you, I literally struck like I stopped. I guess yesterday was the only day I watched Netflix in months. I've just been like for fun. I just watch like my sales videos, marketing videos, all that type of stuff. So those things, and bro, there's a lot. Like I literally have a whole document of
I
stuff that
love
I
it.
got from you.
I
Yeah,
love it. I
yeah,
love
bro.
it. Shout out to Aaron Brewer, by the way, for the Civer framework. That was kind of obviously like the sales concept. I think the core of it is from Cole Gordon, but he kind of built a really good framework for agencies, and that's the framework I kind of taught to you.
Yeah.
Um, credit where credit's due, of course.
Credit where credit's due. No, I love that. I love that. Okay, I know we got one more minute, but I just gotta ask this question. Not just for me, but for the viewers. What three main things would you say that agency owners are maybe overlooking or overthinking that they need to implement to make sure they can hit 10K or 20K and above?
Sure. So I mean the first thing, and this is the most obvious one you'll hear all the time, is you need to focus on, setting and closing appointments, right? So that first $10,000 is gonna come through sales, right? Because
Mm,
you can't build out good fulfillment systems
mm,
without clients. You can't build out a good team without clients.
mm.
You can't learn how to work well with clients without clients, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to just sort of take the leap and like close your first deal. Um, for some people, I think it's helpful to do a free trial first.
Mm,
It removes some fear, makes them feel like less guilty about selling someone like it's your first time ever running ads.
mm,
Um, but you need to get those first few clients to build the confidence in your systems, which will allow you to continue to sell more and scale. So that's the
mm,
first thing.
mm,
Um, the second thing is the whole concept of you do marketing because you have an imperfect product and you have to do sales because you have imperfect marketing.
mm,
I think that's a really good kind of point to bring into, especially when you start to scale past that like 30K a month mark.
mm,
Um, the root of everything is your product and your offer and your solution and the
mm,
value you're able to bring to the table. So while sales is key for 0 to 10K, um, you want to then really build a product that can crush it for your clients because the best marketing you can have is good client results, referrals, happy clients. That's the core of what's gonna drive your business towards the 100, 200, 300K a month mark.
mm.
Um, and and that's there's like deeper concepts to go into is in terms of like putting love into your product and that kind of shines through. But what to really get past that 30K a month mark, go to the core of everything, which is your product. And then the last thing that I think a lot of people overlook is it's really good to simplify when you're starting out.
Mm,
Um, the truth is that it's easy to get overwhelmed, but the action steps you can take to succeed are pretty straightforward. But
mm,
then once you start to like go deeper, and you start to dig into, as we've discussed, like the sort of core of influence and why people buy things and human psychology and all of that. That's what's going to allow your marketing and sales for your sales teams and for doing work for your clients and then getting your own clients. That's what's going to really allow you to stand out. Is once you start to understand those fundamentals and like the concepts behind why humans buy.
mm.
Um, that allows you to stand out in a relatively saturated market at this point. So
Bro.
those are the three that kind of come to mind.
Fire, fire, bro. Yo, like honestly, thank you so much for this, bro. Like you have dropped some mega gems, and I think I've come to learn more about you as well during this. And you have motivated me once again even more. I'm about to just keep on stacking more skill sets just from everything you said, man. Appreciate you, bro. Guys, It's been fun. David Wehner, the man. Catch him in Agency Lab or wherever. Do you have any socials and stuff you want people to follow?
Yeah, I can kind of I can have you throw them up on screen or in the description. It's not a big
Bet.
deal.
Okay. Yeah. So guys, we'll drop them in the description. Definitely follow him because he's the man. All right. Till then, take care, guys.
This BK so from Timberland. You see a ball, I'm coming in hard. Step in the room with confidence. Yeah, now we'll talk, yeah, baby, who's it bad? We know they do no nonsense.